In this lesson, we'll do a series of changes to our web application so that only users who are signed up can enter messages. And they can't bypass this by using the console anymore because now we've disabled client-side modification of the database. Let's start from the beginning. We have looked into helpers as client-side methods that allow you to work easy with templates. Think of helpers, but on the server side, things that you can only do on the server side. Those are called methods. So we're going to work now with a method to add new users. So instead of inserting a new user in this way, we will no longer be doing that. We'll be using a method. And methods can be called on the can be called on the client side, but they actually take place on the server side. So in this part that we've not considered until now is server, we are going to add methods for our web application. So Meteor.methods, and we pass in an object like that. You can have this adding methods in this manner in different parts. So you can have some methods added in here, then on some other server file, you could have some more methods added. So the method we'll add is going to be called add message, and it receives message data. Let's just call it message data. So let's assume that this is what you receive from the client. So instead of inserting a method like that, what we have here now will be meteor.call, and then the name of the method, so add message, and we will pass in the information of this message, which will just be a content. The date now, we don't need to send the date from the client. The client could eventually send you a different date. We'll get the actual date on the server. So all we're going to send from the client is just the content. So what happens in the server? There are a few things I want to check. I want to check if you're logged in. Check if the user is logged in. How can we do that? Well, there is this method called user ID that gives you the ID of the current user. And if that is not present, it means that you're not logged in which case you throw an error like this. Throw new meteor.error, and this code will be, you can give it a code, whichever code you want. Not or authorized is a common one used for these kinds of things. Now, where are these users stored, by the way? We added these user accounts, but we never looked into where they actually live. Well, that's easy. Actually, there is meteor.users. Gives you access to the Mongo collection. So it is created a collection on the server, a Mongo collection, and you could do things like find, fetch, and it gives us 2 users. I've created 2 users so far, but this has all the information of these users. So the passwords, by the way, are encrypted, are stored in an encrypted way for the users. So I just wanted to point out then that users are stored in the database. So okay, there is no current user, so we throw in an error, and thus this ends the current call of the method. There's nothing else going on. So what if the message doesn't have any content? So message data.content. So if there's no content, because we are enforcing that there is content by typing in, we actually didn't, but we could have typed in required, which will enforce it on a HTML level, so it won't let you submit the form. But your users could still push data somehow using the console or using other tools to the server. So we make sure that there is a content. So if there is no content, then we can send something like an invalid error. So this is an invalid entry, and we're not going to save it. Invalid. So those things, let's type in here, message needs to have content. So it seems our message is okay. Then what we can do is message data.date, and we enter our own date. And then we can also add an owner. So we can say that we want to save who created this, user ID. And finally, we can do messages.insert, and we can insert message data. So let's wait for the code. Sometimes I just refresh the page. It's such a habit. So let's try. I'm not logged in at this point, and you see that it wasn't added here. So I got this in the console, not authorized. But if I log in, it was hello1@example.com 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. If I try now, it actually works. So to summarize what's going on here, we are now on the client side. We are, instead of directly inserting data into the collection like we were, we are calling a server-side method, and we're sending that to the server. The server will receive this, will do some validation, and it will add the date that we don't want the user to forge, so we add it in the server. We can also add an owner, so if you eventually wanted to have, which is what another project, the cooking recipe app, has more of this on this sort. But for now, this is as far as we're gonna get on this one, and it inserts the message like that on the server. This file, by the way, is visible from the client, the entire file. Later in the course, we'll learn how to create files that are not visible in the client. So just to summarize, we added our server-side methods, and in there is where we do all the sensitive stuff that in a way that cannot be forged by the client.